This is Michael Graves. I'm the Director of Training here at VitaBot, and Miranda Cameron had asked me to record a quick overview showing how the VitaBot app can be private labeled for ZoomFit and tailored to some of your all's specific goals for your program. Let's first off look at some examples of how the program could be private labeled through your website. So first off, on the VitaBot homepage, you're welcome to come check out vitabot.com, learn a little bit more about the background and the foundation of the program. But everything would be accessed through your website through a private labeled app and branded with your logo. So on the ZoomFit, I understand you all are under construction and still working on final logo and things like that, so we can work with you as you progress. Here's an example of a training studio that they've been working with us for probably about 8 years at this point. Down here on their page, they created a page just for their nutrition, and these guys are kind of like the Orange Theory fitness model, similar to that. So what they do is they use us as a value add for the first 3 months and offer us complimentary for that first period of time, and then charge $10 per month after that. We charge a fixed cost per location. I've given Miranda all the information on that, and we have a range of strategies to help you implement the program. So we provide a private labeled portal for the app. So anyone who's already a member, they can click here to log in either on the desktop or on their mobile app, and it'll pass them right through. On the app to invite someone, this is the home screen of the mobile app. So anyone who's set up as an administrator can send invitations to people, and we would set up an administrator for each location. They would be able to assign who a staff member is and set those levels of permission. The invite button is pretty straightforward. It just brings up where they can enter the email address of that member or potential member, set an account duration, whether it's a 7-day trial, and we offer a range of marketing materials. I'll show some of those, but maybe you're going out to a local company and want to offer demo accounts for employees for a corporate wellness offer, or reaching out to people in the lead base. That would send them a private labeled invitation, let them create the account, and then that would also prompt them to message whoever set them up starting that engagement. So we'll go through some of that. So they get the invitation, they create a username and password, and I reset my account here so you can see the example of that. So when they first come in, it's a turnkey setup process, so it walks them through and takes them through a setup process. Choose gender. For ladies, there are pregnancy options, which not only will the program set up the calorie and macronutrient range, it also sets up goals for micronutrients. So it's going to teach them how to balance their diet with real foods, and that can all be customized. I know Miranda was saying you all lean a little bit more towards ketogenic and no processed foods, which we do have a healthy template of foods that it starts off with, but that can all be customized based on what you would like. So I'll give some examples of that. After gender goes to activity level and set that, and then birthday. All pretty straightforward. So this can be done. It's all meant to be turnkey, where if someone gets a demo account, it just walks them right through. But if someone does, we generally recommend that this is done as part of the initial orientation with a trainer or a coach, if that makes sense, just to help build that relationship. There's also metric settings, so if you have international clientele, they can switch that over if need be. There's also optional data, which the program will calculate basal metabolic rate with the information already provided. But there is the option to also put in body fat percentage or basal metabolic rate, and I understand you all do have the equipment to test for that, like 3D scale and other equipment. So then that goes through, and it goes through and calculates, kind of does this loading page for effect where it shows all the B6 and iron and all the different nutrients, and then gives a calorie goal, explains what the basal metabolic rate is, how it was reached, takes them through that setup process. The next thing they would see when they hit get started is it would then bring them out to the home page of your app. And since I'm running the mobile simulator on the computer right now, it doesn't show here, but it would start a sequence on the app for the first time they log in, where it would say install on home screen, and then that prompts them to install the ZoomFit logo. And of course, we can swap your final logo, whatever's preferred. I just took a screenshot per Miranda, off the website here, but this would prompt them to install your logo as the app icon. And what we're looking at on this page, if someone does log in on the computer for the first time, there's an option where it says send the app to my phone or tablet. So they don't have to go to the App Store. It's all done through direct invite from you all. And they click here, it brings up where they can send a text message or an email. That's really just sending a link to the same portal that's accessed through your website. Then they open that up and it prompts them to install. And on the computer, cool thing about this is, if you want to put this up on a projector or just show it on the monitor for people, you can do that in club as well. So we have some customers who will do presentations in house, use it as a way to get people in the door for a wellness seminar or teach the program. Another thing too, I also host live training webinars at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. So we offer ongoing training and support. Now, for a new user, once they come in, the program would automatically start a training sequence. So it would, and we have different automation features as well, where if you want custom messages coming from ZoomFit welcoming them and maybe a follow-up message the next week or month or whatever, that's something that we can now set up for you. We just released that within the past couple weeks. The initial training sequence would then teach them how to navigate. So it would pulse out of this app menu down here and prompt them to open up the menu. It goes through and explains the different features of the app. So the food app, it talks about how the app shows you more than just calorie counting and helps you balance your nutrition. The activity tracker lets you track progress on measurements or different workouts. The media section, ZoomFit can collect and have different media that either is collected or created by you all, or maybe it's just TED Talks on different features that you'd like to have. So the media collection is there for them. And then messages, part of the initial setup is the app would prompt the new member to write a message back to the coach who invited them. So it starts the engagement right away. So we'll go through each of these features. I'm going to start out in food since that's kind of the core of what our system is, and then we'll look at how media and messages work through that and activity. So on the food app, this brings me into Wednesday, February 21st. I put in a couple foods already for breakfast, so we'll just go through and look at how the journaling works, and then we'll talk about some of the customization since you all are kind of leaning a little more towards a ketogenic lifestyle and how that can be customized. So right here where it says find foods, we have a database of about 3 million foods. So you can search and add things into your day. Anything that is starred means that I have it in my favorites. So smoked salmon, for example, I have that for every meal of the day. I have that for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. So when I go into my menu, it will slide out and all the foods that I have saved here. It shows that it's showing my favorite foods for breakfast, and all of the foods that are listed here are things that I've saved into my menu. So what's happening, and we'll just briefly look at this real quick, the report card on the left, based on the settings that I put in, it referenced the recommended daily allowances from the DRI, from the Institute of Medicine, and behind each one of these grades, fiber for example, it shows that I'm at 3.9 grams, which is 10% of my recommended daily allowance of 38 grams. B12, I already have an A. I'm at 116% of my recommended daily allowance. So as I'm journaling, it's not only totaling up the calories, showing where I am in relation to my goal, and I can, of course, tap here on the pie graph and it'll give a overview of carb, protein, and fat ratios. But what happens is when I go into my lunch menu, it's looking through where I'm most deficient, and then it's looking through the micronutrients in each of these foods and making recommendations to balance that out. So one of the things I told Miranda is we can make it so whoever would want to be in charge of this, we can make it so your admin account controls what foods show up as a default list. So it can be the ZoomFit approved list. Maybe nutritionist or dietitian on your team wants to customize that menu, and then the user could further customize that on their own. We also have a feature where under the settings, just point this out, if you wanted to remove the report card right here, you could also just disable it. So if someone, it's kind of a clean, simple look too. If you just want to focus more on the macronutrient goals and the calorie goal. And behind the scenes, the algorithm would still be working with the user to help them balance their micronutrients. So that can also be set. Now down here on the favorites, I didn't really point out the food search, so I'll just briefly show that, but it's pretty straightforward. There's a full nutrient database that has about 17,000 foods, and then the package label database, if there's any supplements or products or anything that you're looking for, Ezekiel bread or whatever it may be, we've had 3 million foods entered in, so those would all be available under the package label search. So if I just search like egg, for example, it brings back egg whites, whole eggs, all the different things, and then I can just star that and customize it and add those things to my list. So the food search is there. There's also a scanner under the package label. Now, down here on favorites, this is where we're going to start getting into the sharing of content and videos, and I'll first look at that through food. So, under favorites, it says manage favorites, create, collect, and share. So, there are full meal plans that can be set up and shared. Recipes, meals, and foods would be a questionnaire where those are the most popular foods. Right here it says set up my favorite foods. So either the user could do this and customize their own, or most likely, based on my conversation with Miranda, you all would want to customize this list. So you could look at, the most popular lunch foods, show me the 200 most popular lunch foods, and I can even group it by carb, protein, and fat. So if I want to look at foods that are rich in protein or combination of carb, protein, or protein fat, I guess more likely for you all, you go through and just star the most popular foods, and that would customize the menus that everyone has, or you can search for things individually. Now, for recipe sharing, one other thing I want to point out here too on meal plans, we also have thousands of balanced meal plans that are already set up. So in this section, there are thousands of meal plans already within my calorie range, and I can narrow these down by clicking on apple and must include avocado and salad greens, sweet potato, salmon, different things. So as I'm clicking on these foods, the meals listed below, and I could just swipe through on my phone, those all have the foods that I've added in. So I could then just click on this food or on this meal, and right below it, there's a log option, and that brings up where I have my week. I can swipe this over, hit save, and drop that in, open the food log, and that would be all A's on the report card here on Thursday. So it's all based on a balanced meal plan based on the DRI from the Institute of Medicine. But one thing that I could do as a coach, or let's say there's someone there creating content, I could always use one of these as a default template. Come in and say, okay, I'm going to delete this juice. I'm going to delete the oatmeal. I'm going to replace that with quinoa, or whatever you'd want to do. Customize that meal, and then come up here and star the total and save that full meal plan to my favorites. So full meal plans can also be saved and shared. We have a lot of dietitians who will use this as a platform to share specific content with their clients. So that's another option. Now with recipes and meals, I've created more recipes, so I'll show it under this format. And actually, before I do that, let me show here. Just like I'm doing here on the mobile simulator, you can run it on a computer, and we also have right down outside of the frame where I'm recording, it says switch to tablet simulator. So you can also switch to this larger version here. So under recipes, this brings up where I have recipes created by me, and then I can create new recipe, and you can also put them into different collections of recipe boards. So that makes it visible to members. So whoever would want to create content for ZoomFit could create all of these recipes, and we have sample recipes already set up, and we can work with you to show you how to build them, but it's very easy. So for example, if I go and look at this one here, my green smoothie, to build a new recipe, it brings up where you just enter recipe name, put in that serving. Right here, this would say upload a photo or a YouTube video. On this one, I just put in a photo, but I'll show some examples of videos as well. Add ingredients, so as you do that, it totals up the nutrients, totals up the calories and the macros as well. There's optional data down here below for prep time and cook time. And then once you save it, right underneath there's an option of log. Just like with the meal plans, you can log, share, or collect. Share would then bring up my messenger, so any of the clients that I'm working with, I can go in here and send this over to those users. Actually, I was just talking to this guy the other day. He's a former Biggest Loser contestant who's owns a gym and launching it out of his gym out in Nebraska. So I could send that over to him. Of course, as an administrator, I can chat with anyone, but this would just be for the ZoomFit location and their specific clients, and they can be put into groups, or the trainers can work with their individual clients as well. And that would then send it over. So with the videos also, of course, this could be content that ZoomFit's creating their own recipes and putting media along with it. So for example, I built this oatmeal recipe with video, just grabbed a random YouTube video, but of course ZoomFit could create their own content and send that over. So just from an educational standpoint, being able to share that content, because a lot of people are not going to consistently journal all the time, but if you can send something over that helps them modify their behavior. That's a big part of the education. So that's how the food and the sharing of media and messaging work through food. Now, back on the home page, there's activity tracking, and then we'll look at media. So on activity, when someone initially sets this up, it takes them through a basic tutorial where it teaches them how to set up a couple goals, and it has them set up for water intake, weight goals, cardio, and strength training. And then it shows up here where they can edit and add additional goals. So on here, I've added a couple for myself, and there's additional things down here, different measurements or different, if there's anything we didn't think of. There's even a custom goal down at the bottom where you can do a custom title, custom unit, set a goal date as well. And then once that's there, I can come in and let's say I put in 7 hours of sleep. It'll say, all right, 88% to that goal of 8 hours. And from a back end, a coach or trainer can log in and monitor what their client's doing. So they're able to see the progress. And, if I forgot to do something the day before, I could go and update that as well. And part of this setup, you can also opt in to have a daily text reminder sent. And notifications would also be sent anytime a recipe is shared or the trainer messages as well. So that keeps them engaged with their coach. So that's the activity section. And then on media is almost like, think of it almost like you can create your own Netflix style playlists based on content that you would want those members to see through ZoomFit. So I'm going to go into media, and just to be clear, this is content that I've put together. So this isn't things that clients would see, but right under your all's boards, right here, it would say My Video Boards. And then as the administrator, you'd have where it says Create New Video Board. And then your clients would be connected to the ZoomFit account as like essentially their first friend, and they could also connect with their trainer as well. So up here, let's say I want to create some videos. It could be, of course, be ZoomFit specific content. But if I look up, let's say as an example, TED Talks on health. This brings up all the different TED Talks on health, and I can search through, and maybe I want to watch one at a time and bring this one up, and I could search related videos as well. But right underneath, I can hit share. Of course, that would send it via message to either an individual or to a group. But then I can hit collect, and collect would bring up my boards. So I can go down and add this to my TED Talks or to my diabetes prevention or whatever it is. And then if I wanted to select multiple videos at once, I can hit select and say, okay, this one looks good, that one looks good, that one, that one, that one, and then I could collect and add them to a board, and then remove things later if I decided I didn't want them to be there. So as of now, this is a place for you to create and curate this content for members to have as part of access to. Over 2018, we're working on more automation features. So if you wanted a new member as part of their setup, maybe week 2 they get a video keeping them engaged and saying, have you met with your trainer yet, or whatever it is. So those are things that will be in development. We do have automated messages that you could just provide us a script and what frequency you'd like those messages to come through. But the different media pieces, whether it's a video or a recipe or reminders to do weigh-ins, those are all in the works for automation, and all those updates would be included as part of your service. So, as an example, I put together diabetes prevention and have all these different videos here. So if after a session I thought a client could benefit from my what are carbohydrates video, and want to hit share and send that over to them, I would have all my individual clients and then any groups that I set up as an administrator. So that's the video training right there, or the media section. And then the mobile interface, you can run this on the computer since it's a private labeled web app. It works on iPhone, works on Android, installs with your logo. They don't have to go to the App Store to get it. It's all done by direct invite. Up here where the program says return home, we also have a classic desktop version of the program, which you can switch back to. That would bring up here the classic version. I mean, we see about 80% of people coming into the mobile app now, but the classic version is cool. It's got video tutorials built in, a little more, because of the larger screen size, there's more room for verbal explanations of things. So you may have some clients that prefer the larger screen and might want to use it. Main reason I'm showing on this call is on the admin tools. Most of the things you can do admin on the mobile app, and from an end user standpoint, the app actually has more features than the desktop interface. For admin tools, there are a couple additional features that you would log in on the computer, or you could also launch this in a view on mobile. But on the computer version here, it brings up where you've got your admin tools. There is a guide to add the program to the website. I have lots of content that I can send over to your web designer to give them tools to add the program to the site. Information for staff, we host 3 live training webinars every weekday. I do 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern for program training. And then we have a 1 o'clock marketing webinar just for more implementation and marketing ideas. For inviting users, there's send email invitation, just like on the phone. So you would be able to, the administrator at that location could put in an email address and set the duration and send an invite. The member statistics area, this brings up a full list of all the members and clients at that location. You can switch between active and deactivated users. You can click to message a client through here as well as on the phone. And right next to each name, there would be, it doesn't show it here, but there'd be a login button, which would let you monitor that person. So maybe someone has joined an extra accountability program for tracking. There, a lot of places will offer the program as a value add for every member, but then they'll have additional coaching and accountability programs that will be offered. So you can also log in and monitor them, and then send them a message, regarding what was seen. One of the things I didn't point out on the logging, there's also a spot where you can just snap a photo of your meal and add it under the meal. So just from an accountability standpoint, you can do that. So we were just looking at member management here. And then last but not least, on the marketing tools, we have about 60 different images that we provide. And I'm in a demo here, so I've changed different things around, but you all would have your own media center with your logo, your web address pre-printed on here. And these can all be customized based on what you would like to offer. So this one right here, even though it's the wrong time of year for this, I like this as a promotion for November, December, end of year. So we do Project Zero, avoid holiday weight gain, 60-day personal nutrition plan, communication tools, and weigh-ins with your trainer. So the idea here would be a lot of gyms, what they'll do is put a very low barrier on this, where it's like $20.18 or $20.19, where they're just really just signing up for access to the app and scheduling a weigh-in on November 1, December 1, and January 1. So that would be 3 chances to convert that member into a personal training program or group training or whatever it is that you would want them to join for that upsell. So these can all be edited. It's a very simple version, almost like a Photoshop version here, where you can just edit the material. And then again, there are about 60 of these in total, so I won't go into great detail on them, but just to go over, of course, like the online meal planning, this one here could be a good cross market between the tanning and the fitness. So these can all be edited for whatever you'd like. And then we also have, I just saved some materials here. We have a flyer that can be handed out with your logo, so something that can be given out in a membership packet. With it being 2018, you don't have to use any of these materials as far as printouts go. I mean, it's all done through the invite and automated setup process when they start. But we do have additional things, like this is a 5-page presentation for corporate wellness, which gives bullet points of the program. It would all be branded with your logo. And then it ultimately leads up to what you could offer those employees. A service for all employees and family members, 30-day nutrition access, and 1-week guest pass. So all these can be customized based on whatever you'd like to offer to those employees. And last but not least, I was talking about some of the automation features. So I just wanted to kind of give a behind the scenes on that. So here is a backend page where we build our workflows for automation. So oh, it kicked me out there, but I guess you saw an image there of it. So essentially, we have the training sequences which start people up and take them through. I'll go ahead and log back in here. Okay, so this is the beginning that would walk someone into an initial introduction. It instantly goes over to a training sequence which teaches people how to navigate, goes over to a food app intro, and then goes out. So we can customize different workflows where, maybe we set a first initial email or that sends a notification to let them know that they just received a message from ZoomFit, we can schedule that to be, or make that whatever message you would like delivered to them, and then it would wait for time, and then 1 week later it would send them another message, and just that engagement process through the system. So these can all be customized based on whatever you would like. So the initial training sequence would walk them through. I can bring this process up here just as an example. There we go. So as soon as they come in, it's going to take them through and teach them how to navigate through the system, teach them about the various apps. The food app helps you improve your health by focusing on nutrition, not just calories. And it would be your foods that are in there as the recommended list, and activity and media messages. So then it says introductions done. Nice, first goal completed. Then it would pop up a messenger and prompt them to message the trainer back. So now it's over on that second block, which I had shown in the previous screen. Now let's learn to navigate. So it brings them in. Let's click on the target below. So it brings them up, open the food app, and then it would go on to teach them how to navigate through the food app, and put in the different foods. So just, this is our standard training sequence that it would walk them through, but we can customize these things further as we work with you. And yeah, just kind of wanted to show a background of what runs the automation. And again, I host live training webinars 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Friday for ongoing support. And when your locations launch initially, we would do a first training sequence, or first training call just with the team, just to get them up to speed. But would go and do those ongoing trainings for ongoing support. So again, my name is Michael Graves. My direct office line is 301 220 4254. If I can answer any additional questions, and I'll just go from there. So look forward to hopefully working with you guys. Thanks.